So about 6 months ago, I was at an event of mine and I was sitting next to a friend who is also one of our keynote speakers. And I said, hey man, you guys have just done phenomenal things in your business over the last 2 years. I'm curious, what do you owe and attribute that success to? And he said, well, there's two things. One of those was we hired an EOS implementer. EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. He said, we have this great guy, Brian. He's helped us navigate through this and really come in and facilitate the discussion because, see, one of the things is, and we have a coaching program for, startup to mid-range businesses. And what we tell people that in that model is, trust the process, trust what we take you through because they're proven success. Well, we've grown our company to a level where sort of hit a ceiling, right? Ceiling of achievement. And we needed to break through that. And that wasn't something I could sort of self-diagnose or even sort of self-surgery, right? I needed somebody else to come in and sort of navigate that process. And so Brian was our guy. And it was actually the same guy that Brad and Ryan had used who referred him to me. I just understand if something's working for someone else, I don't need to recreate it. So I took in this proven model, this proven system, and a proven person who can take me through that. And so let me describe for you what it's done for us and what it looks like. And when you navigate something like this, you want to go all in. Like you can't say, hey, I want to commit to this process of improvement, but I'm going to test it out for 90 days, or I'm going to look at it for this period of time. I've done that in the past. And what I wish I'd learned really early on in my business is to if something's proven and I invest in it, which it's a fair amount of money, I invest in it, and I hire somebody who can now take me through that process, I need to trust what they say. First step is trust the process. So when I brought my whole team in together and Brian put us in a room, one of the first things he said is, you have to trust the process. And that's so easy to say and sometimes harder to do. In fact, especially when we got to certain points where we're building out our accountability chart and some of the other things we're doing, and we're stuck. Well, we're stuck because we can't see 10 steps down. And as entrepreneurs, that's often what we want to do. We want to go, what's down the road and how's this going to affect my company and all of that? And it's like, no, the problem you're solving is right here, right now. Solve this problem, solve this issue, and then you can move forward to the next. And so that became really hard for us, but what it's done is given us so much clarity through that. So the first one is trust the process. So the next thing that EOS did for us was something I call the power of the third mind. And that happened sort of organically with our team. When we came together, I have an opinion, I have a way and a perspective that I see something for my business. I have team members who have a perspective in the way that they see something. But when you take a skilled, and we kind of joke with Brian, we call him like this mad scientist because he's so amazing. He just has this skill set to take all of us together and take my perspective and Katie's and Elizabeth and Gary and all of our team that came together and say, let's talk through this. Let's hear your perspective. Let's hear Chaz. And now let's bring it together. And what happens is this power of a third mind. And when three things come together in that, then this third mind creates things you can't think of by yourself. And Napoleon Hill talked about this too in The Power of a Mastermind. And one of those is when you're operating within an ideal set of values and ideals together, then that's the first thing. You have to be clear about what you're trying to accomplish. And you all have these ideals. The ideal is I'm going to respect the position you have, but we're going to fiercely battle it out, right? The ideal is that it's for the greater good of the organization. These were some of the ideals that our team agreed to operate within when we came together. And so what that does is that leads to the second one, which is we all have to give input and feedback, right? So every idea that came up, Brian would go around the room and he'd say, what are you thinking, Gary? Katie, what are you thinking? Lean into it. Be open and honest. Is that how you feel? And he would get this sort of feedback so that we could give input. So we're operating a set of values. We're giving input and feedback. And then what that does is it creates this third thing, which is this harmonious flow of ideas that can come out that we couldn't do by ourselves and on our own. I mean, it's pretty magical to think that I came into this with certain preconceived thoughts. I think this is where we could go with it. I think this is where we could end up, right? This is what it will look like. And it's just a matter of maybe this person or this team or this group coming together and getting on that page, right, as the visionary of a company. What I realized is I didn't have any of it figured out. As a group, as we came together, this sort of power of a third mind created things that I couldn't even conceive of. So that was incredibly important for EOS. The next thing that this EOS process did for us is and I think somebody said it even in the second day that we met, it was all of a sudden our company grew up. We've been this sort of young company stumbling, falling down, standing back up, and just continuing that whole process and learning to walk and then run. And now it's we've grown up. We're operating more like a business than maybe just a set of standards and ideals. This is going to operate us as a complete business, independent of any individual. And what that leads to is the final point, which I think is probably one of the most magical things, is that the entire business can run on a process and a framework and not a person. And for any of you growing your business and you're kind of getting to a place where it's I cannot wear any more hats. I've hit a ceiling. I cannot do anything more. And the biggest key is when you're like working as hard as you possibly can, but the growth isn't happening, you're sort of going in circles. It's time for something like EOS. It's time to grow up as a company and put the company first above any other person or ideal out there. And so for me, this was the huge benefit. And we're just coming out of a couple days of what we've established and what we've organized, and we're about to roll this out. And in fact, even today, like I'm mentally exhausted from all of the energy that we put in as a team. But what I will say is if you have a group of people, you have a mission that you're on, a movement you're trying to create, and you're doing it through the platform of a business, and you want to make an impact in the world, then I would strongly encourage you to look to something, whether it's EOS, whether it's some other program that's proven, that you bring in an outside facilitator to take you through that model, to take you through a process. You come out the other side and you're like, wow, this thing is important. You know, one kind of just final thought is that one of the conversations I had was like, am I building a lifestyle business or am I building a sellable business? And I think the reason why I've always sort of treated it like a lifestyle business, meaning a thing that supports and funds my life, like every business owner wants it to do, and move towards sellable, the reason I hadn't is because I'm like, I don't have any interest in selling my company. But this massive aha that came out of the third mind was, if I don't build a company that's built like a sellable company, if you looked at two businesses, one that was lifestyle and one that was sellable, which is more valuable? A sellable business is way more valuable. And in fact, if I build just a lifestyle business, if something happens to me as the owner of the company, the business could fizzle and go away. If I build a sellable business, meaning all the framework systems and models that are there that we were taught, then that business can go on in perpetuity. It can go on past me. It can be bigger than me and bigger than you. So that's the key. And I took so many great takeaways from this, but what's important is this. And in fact, if you found this helpful, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel as I share more of the insights of what I go through day to day as a business owner and the journey that I'm on. I'll share the ups and the downs for sure. But the challenge was to just mentally commit and go all in on this. The benefit is what it's going to do for our business. And the fact that now I have a group of people that are all focused on the same mission, the same goal, and the same ideals, and we have a path to get there. If that's something you want, I'd encourage you to check out EOS so you can take your business from where it is, and someday you can grow up and have a very mature business that's profitable, that feeds your life.